This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain shocking revelations, violence, and sexual themes. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I will be playing War Cthulhu RPG. I'm your host, Thom Raley. We continue with our campaign, War Cthulhu London. It was written by Matthew Sanderson and Scott Dorward. This scenario is entitled Captive Audience. Our keeper of arcane lore is Matthew Sanderson, and this is episode 6. Our recap will be given by Max Meltzer as his character, Jean-Pierre Crochet. So, without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Max?
All right, so we're going to be leaving another fish in the market, I'm afraid. And in the note, it will be like, report back to Network N. Last time, we discovered the house that the cultists were staying in was abandoned, but had an extremely dangerous creature inside that apparently was summoned by walking over some sort of altar. Melvin and Dr. Gross discovered that there were beds enough to fit an entire cast of players inside the house, but they were empty now. Apparently, they'd abandoned the house a few weeks ago, and as a result weren't there, but we decided we had to destroy it. We all reconvened in N's office, where we talked about potential plans. For example, bombing the house, which was decided to be too dangerous due to civilian casualties. We decided to just set a single charge in the basement to blow up the altar and get rid of it. It was nighttime, and we had to go back into the basement for shelter. But while we were down there, something very odd happened. The German bombs started approaching the shelter, and while we were in there, some mysterious masked figures started phasing out of the wall. One of them confronted Dr. Gross, and one of them grabbed Captain Goodale. Fortunately enough, none of us were enthralled by them, and we were able to avoid them and not die from any German bombs. But it was certainly a scary incident. Now we have to decide what to do. We have the basement of the hotel that's happening very soon, and we're going to have to figure out if we're either going to blow it up or just go down and take care of people, manually. Anyway, any advice would be appreciated. So that's the end of the report.
Well, if there was some great voice in the sky or in your head giving you advice, then I'm sure it'll only ever have good things to tell you. So it is the morning of Monday, the 10th of February, 1941. What do you intend on doing? This is completely in your hands now.
So we're coming out of the shelter this morning?
Yep, the all clear gets given in the morning, by which point you're then leaving the bomb shelter that's underneath the bookshop just off Trafalgar Square. So it's the rest of you and the other Network N operatives that are down there. It's only those that are in the know that know this place exists. There's no civilians down here. So you're able to come out onto the street, kind of bleary-eyed, seeing yet again the familiar sight of tendrils of smoke or clouds of smoke rising up from the various places that have been hit around here. I mean, this is downtown London. This is a target-rich environment as far as the enemy bombers are concerned. So it just seems yet another day in hell.
I'm
Now,
quite curious to see whether Piccadilly got bombed without our intervention.
that'd be too easy. I was wondering if we had made arrangements to get into that Piccadilly bunker already. I don't think we have.
We have rooms in the hotel, but they don't
Yes.
give us access to the bunker because
Right,
that's
I
only for the
understand.
elite.
But we
Should
got
we
the
talk?
expensive rooms.
Mhm.
So,
Should we
But
talk
now-
to the management then and lay the cards on the table saying, hey, we're expecting a terrorist attack. We need to be there.
Well, first things first, before we leave and his staff, we are picking up a explosive that even Jean-Pierre and Davidge and Captain Goodale can safely plant in the actor's house for the bunker of the performers. But you want to go there before noon and inspect the man's office. When we entered it, we entered into the other dimension, but that was because the star had risen. As long as you get there before noon,
yes.
then you should be able to see it on this plane of reality. Plant the device perhaps at the head of the stairs to the cellar. I wouldn't go very near that altar down there. And then get out. But we need the explosive first.
I thought the explosive was for the bunker in case something goes horribly wrong.
Well, we're also destroying the altar in the
Yes.
the theater cellar, the home of the critic.
We have 2 explosives then.
No, we don't need the other one until the day of the performance, but we
Right.
need one for this morning.
Well, we'll go plant that, yes, before. Now, you don't think anybody's going to be there? It was empty when you were there, yes?
Abandoned for days. They didn't leave the place very tidy. And you'll find a great deal of yellow paint splash around. Don't pay that any mind. George and I had a bit of an attack.
No, bear it all in mind. It is beautiful.
Yes.
All the more reason not to look at it, I suspect. Who knows what sort of arcane symbols we painted in our
It's
delusion.
odd that it's such a thing as just a simple color of yellow. I'm currently trying to avoid yellow at all costs. I don't know why, but it's important.
perhaps it's not so much the color, but the meaning invested in the color through thousands of years of artwork.
Possibly.
The
Anyways,
question,
we will get it done.
yes, the question then is how Dr. Gross and I shall fruitfully spend the morning, since we're not going anywhere near that house again.
Well, you can try and arrange for getting into the fancy bunker at the hotel.
And we can use my money.
Right. We have our official
And
identity
contacts.
cards and your deep pockets.
I would also recommend looking for any ventilation system or anything like that that went into the bunker. Just
Gas
anything of
them if we needed
importance.
to.
Oh yeah, we could might be able to use that as a means of entry in a pinch. If you do find something like that.
Well, we also discussed perhaps putting an agent that would knock out the participants into the ventilation. I doubt it's big enough for a human being to pass through since it's a bunker. They tend to leave very large tubes in and out of those.
But we could find a yellow cat and send it down there. A cat would fit down there. We could train it to do what we want.
We could send a speckled band like snake down to bite the players.
Exactly, Jean-Pierre. You are thinking.
I think you'd find it
Exactly.
easier to train a snake than a cat. Have you ever tried to train a cat?
Yeah, have you not been to my house, Melvin?
And both of them can turn around and come back without ever going all the way. I don't know, George, I don't know sometimes whether you're being funny or whether you're
Being funny.
seriously mentally damaged.
What? I am not mentally damaged. I am the most withered man in the universe.
Very well. We'll have some refreshments before we hit the Piccadilly, but I do think it might be reasonable to approach management with our ID cards and see if that we can lay any groundwork. We just don't want to tip our hand over much. We're merely guests there.
What if you make friends with some of the other guests? You can find out what they've been doing each night. Obviously. I mean, I'm assuming that there's a few people that go down into the bunker, not just one or two, right?
And we could also see if I recognize any of the other guests, and maybe I have some connection to someone. Who knows?
Mm. We don't
Luck
have
will
any.
be on our side.
We looked to see if the actress had actually published bans, and as far as we can tell, this marriage is facetious, right?
There's certainly no. This is definitely something I remember having been looked into.
Yeah.
There's no report in the news or announcement that a wedding between Jacobs and Long was taking place. So either they're keeping it very, very quiet, which is unlikely given their admittedly kind of Z-list celebrity status, but it's still something that you would expect to have been announced in the newspaper, especially if it's happening in that area. So the likelihood is that it's some kind of cover story.
Mhm. Right, so there isn't there won't be any information on a guest list or anything, so we could approach someone. We assume that all of the guests are actually the players, or maybe some support staff, right?
Yes, when you put on a play, don't you have to have backstage hands to?
I imagine this will be something more on the order of a staged reading. I don't suppose they've set up a proscenium arch in the bunker. There's some sort of dais or something for musicians, so I think they'll be doing it like that. I don't imagine they'll have a lighting crew. But perhaps there are props. Certainly people are often helped with their costumes. There's probably a staff. Plus, yes.
Or Melvin, they do it where all the actors do everything. They weave it all into the performance, so they don't need any other staff. They'll do it themselves.
Maybe.
Well, wasn't one of the survivors of the previous attempt a backstage sort of person or an understudy?
Yes.
He was an extra, so he was one of the palace guards.
Right. So yes, the extras slash costumers, stagehands. That's not a simple way for amateur theatricals.
Interesting. I don't seem to recall stage direction in the text, except, the usual.
Enter, exoint.
Enter, exit, yeah.
That's pretty much all you can remember. There doesn't seem to be anything elaborate in terms of set dressing or things moving around on the stage or props that are mentioned. If anything, it might have a backdrop that they've put across the stage to represent different scenes. If it takes place, for instance, in the ballroom, you remember there's the description of the Lake of Harley in the background with its cloud waves rolling, and then there's towers with the setting behind the moons. It's all very visual, so you imagine that could be probably fairly quickly and easily recreated by creating a canvas backdrop that is then quickly hung, and either another one drops to then change to indicate the change of scenery. That's as complicated as you think it probably is gonna get.
But costuming, there's definitely costuming.
Oh yeah, costume will be a big part of it because it's a royal gala, it's a royal masquerade ball. So that bit you have to have costume to evoke that.
Well, before we break up and attend to things, do we have a sense of a relationship between the appearance of attendees of the ball and the explosions last night? Do we think one thing triggered another? Or is the king following Doctors Gross and Green because they've read the text? Only we saw them.
Anyone that wants to try it can give me a mythos roll or a hard int roll.
Yeah, 51 isn't hard.
Can I push my mythos roll?
I'd say yes.
You just get a
Awesome.
terrible migraine.
Was it just Mythos?
Yes,
hard.
07.
Oh, damn it. I was going to have something that really happen. I was going to have you added to my list of stuff that I could throw at people later, because that list has gone up and down throughout the course of the scenario. I was wanting more names on it, but
Oh, I kind of wish I failed now.
yeah. Right. Those of you that succeed, when you start to go through the chronology of events, that what's happened so far, the catalyst for this for U5 seems to have been when you encountered the body of the man that was stabbed on the platform of King Cross Station, because he had the yellow sign carved into him. That sign itself is like a beacon. That sign is like a magnet. By being in its presence, it has had detrimental effects on at least one of your group, and perhaps has acted as a bit like a beacon, channeling the gaze of the king towards U5. So that's what you think is probably the catalyst that started this all off.
All right. Well, George, let's get ourselves cleaned up. Meet in front of the Piccadilly in what, 90 minutes?
Yeah, and the rest of
Yes.
us are gonna plant a bomb.
Yes.
We got a demolitions guy, right, to just program this for us, saying that, oh, just press this button and then run.
Yes, because
Okay,
you
that's
don't want to be
simple.
you do not want to be going in there and doing anything particularly complex. So they have almost like, here's demolitions for dummies. You have a
This
very
button.
very quick and very quick and
Yeah,
easy
press
rundown
the
of
Acme red button and then
This one. This one.
skedaddle.
set
All right.
timer, push button, run.
No demolition skill required.
No.
Sounds good.
Right. So hands up if you're heading over to Hanover Terrace. So
Yeah.
Jean-Pierre, David. So it's just George and Melvin who are going to the Piccadilly Hotel.
Yeah, try to get us in by any
Okay.
means necessary.
Gotcha. Well, we'll start with Team Blow Shit Up. So you head to Hanover Terrace, and as you said, it would be annoyingly easy if a bomb had dropped and wiped out Graves's home. So as it stands, the place is completely pristine. No bombs have dropped near this road. About the closest you'd find is a couple of streets over, and then that would be over towards the west, because obviously to the east you've got the Regent's Park Lake. So this lovely, again, high class area of town is pretty deserted early in the morning. There's no ARP wardens walking around. There's no obviously fire to be put out. Everything is nice and calm and quiet. So, with the accounts of what's happened with George and Melvin beforehand, are you going to approach by the same route? So, you're going round the back by the Hanover Terrace Mews, through the garage, through the garden, and then in through the back, or do you have another idea in mind?
Yeah, I
If,
don't
if
see an issue with that.
yeah, if they've left an access for us, then
We can see where the paint like project that they worked
yeah.
on.
Oh yes,
Ah,
there's
We
drops
can
everywhere.
try and find things that they missed before we blow this place to Kingdom
yes,
Come. Um, but to do
yes,
so,
because they were quite disturbed by the whole thing.
yes, I want everyone on high alert. So when I go inside the building, I'm gonna draw my sidearm and listen for anyone inside.
Okay, so as you approach, can I have your choice as a group? Either a group luck roll, so whoever has the lowest in the group, or whoever has the lowest stealth roll.
My luck is 59. My stealth is 60.
My luck is 32. My stealth is 20.
My stealth is uh, my stealth is 50, and my luck is pretty bad. It's like 15. I don't know if that's right, but that's what it says on my sheet.
Did you do a luck refresh?
boy.
I did not.
Oh, wait, I
You better
didn't
do that
either.
quick.
Okay. And it's a D10 if you fail.
Yeah.
Okay, I got 10 back. So 25.
I got
Say
7
luck is on your
back.
side.
Yeah. But we should probably do the stealth then. Because we can spend luck on that as well.
That's true.
Correct. Yeah.
This guy's gaming.
I'm metagaming.
Yeah, roll the stealth damage.
Okay.
Why don't you take the lead on this? Says the two special ops guys to the random occultist.
The fat occultist guy.
Yeah.
You sure you want me to?
Oh, you're gonna have to.
I got an 83.
Don't worry, we can always blast our ways out of this. No.
Okay. Do you want to push it, or you're happy with just a regular failure?
It'd be
Push it.
foolish to push it. Yeah, I can push it, but I got to get a 20.
1 in 5 chance.
And I can't spend that much. I don't have that much luck anymore.
What's the worst that could happen?
What happens?
Just
Yeah.
push it. Or
Oh, trust me, it will be worse if you push it.
all right, don't just
I'm not going to push it.
take the fail.
Deal
Okay.
with the fail.
In which case, then, as you approach, going around the back and then go through the garden, as you come through the garage in particular, one of you, perhaps Davidge, with your remarkable amount of stealth there, accidentally kicks one of the paint cans that has been left. So it was tucked away against the wall, maybe has been moved slightly, maybe George or Melvin accidentally kicked it as they were heading out, but it clatters and makes quite a noise. And at that point, you can see at least at least one window twitch further down the mews on the back. So you're fairly sure that one of the neighboring houses has spotted that there has, or at least heard that there has been a commotion outside.
I mean,
Down.
honestly, what are they gonna do about it, right?
Yeah. It's
Well,
true.
actually, I can
Did I
imagine
get
a few
yellow?
things.
Did I get yellow paint on my foot?
Oh, give me a luck roll.
We're gonna plant the bomb, and the neighbor is gonna knock on the door.
Yeah, I didn't pass my luck roll.
You have a yellow foot.
Oh, oh
Have you
God.
seen the yellow foot?
I am going to take off my shoe and sock and throw them away as far as I can, but not hit anything, make noise. But
I was going to say, you throw it, it goes straight through the window in the back of the house.
I'm now.
You throw it into the garden, so there is a nice yellow shoe hidden amongst the long grass.
You should have just
I
kept
am.
it inside, Davidge. It was gonna turn into ash, and anyway, once the bomb goes.
I can't. I couldn't have the yellow on me. Now I'm barefoot. I'm barefoot on one foot.
No, it's just it's February. You've got one very cold foot and one not so cold foot.
So I think this is the plan. The plan is we investigate the place, find any clues that were left behind that weren't picked up. Once we're ready to demo this place, we'll have two people on watch, one person on the bomb. The two people prevent people from coming inside. 'Cause
Okay.
we don't want.
Yeah, let's go check out the guy's office before it turns into a portal to another dimension.
Yeah. They said something was summoned.
That was in the basement.
Yeah, let's hope it's not still here.
It's when the star was up.
I just really hope that it's not still here.
What's the worst it could be?
Famous last words, got all of them. Right, you head across the garden, you head in through the back door, and then make your way upstairs, again, following the directions that George and Melvin have described, and you come to a door. Again, lots of yellow paint dotted all over the area here. It's worse in the library, but it's still got splatter heading up the stairs. There is no sound at all throughout the whole house. Everything is eerily quiet. And you get to the top with that door, and yeah, it's a nice set of double doors that you would imagine you'd lead into an office.
I have to stay downstairs and avoid putting my bare foot into that yellow. So
All
um,
right, then you keep a
I'll keep
lookout
a
then.
watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep an eye out.
Yeah, as you're looking around, making sure that you're not putting your foot into any wet puddles. I mean, the paint's had a fair while to dry now, so you think it's
It
probably
doesn't
not going to
matter
be too bad.
dry. I don't want to touch the yellow.
Yeah, at worst it might be tacky, but you'd still get it on you, and then you'd traipse it around the house if you did. But as you're looking around, out of the corner of your eyes, you can almost see that this yellow splatter almost seems to form words, whether it's a trick of the light or not. But there's almost phrases along the shore. The cloud waves break.
Uh, uh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
try. I'm gonna try to make it out. What is it saying?
Oh, yeah, you're seeing paint all over the place.
Oh,
uh,
If
it's
you'd
me who's seeing.
yeah, if you'd have failed your pushed mythos roll, you might have seen some words, but no, you are blissfully ignorant. So
It's just paint. I don't
right,
understand why Davidge has such a fear of this paint.
although Oswald, you're seeing what could be scrawled almost like graffiti
Oh God,
words in this paint. So there's reference to Dim Carcosa,
I will
where,
ignore it.
yeah, where flap the tatters of the king. But single-mindedly, you're on a mission. Go to that door.
I know what I have to do.
Who opens the door?
I'll do it. Gun at the
Right,
ready.
right. You fling them open, ready to aim at anything that moves in there, and the only thing that moves are the doors. The doors swing open, and there is no marble-lined hallway that Gross and Melvin encountered that leads down to some ballroom in a distant part of a palace in a impossible landscape. There is indeed an office, a study. The place looks pretty. The room itself is pretty big. It's one of the largest rooms you'd think on the upper floor. There's a wonderful mahogany partner's desk, pretty much directly ahead of you, with a chair behind it. There's lots of paper that's scattered all over the desk. There's a couple of chairs which have been pushed to the side of the room. There's bookcases that line the left and right hand walls. There's this little drinks cabinet, one of those globes of the earth that when you lift it up is a drinks cabinet inside it. Again, that's tucked in a corner. The place looks like it was used. So a lot of stuff has happened here, and it's showing signs. It's not pristine by any means, but there's definitely no one here now. You are the only occupants. But yeah, there is stuff here.
All right. Start just taking out all the drawers. We're getting real thorough here because this place is gonna blow up anyway. So just ransack it. No need for caution.
Okay, so you go over like a bull in a china shop. You notice that the stuff on the desk is old newspaper clippings, which you have at this point seen. They are old newspapers from 1905 that detail the various milestone events that lead up to the performance happening at St James's Hall. And as you start wrenching the desk drawers open, one of them refuses to open. It is locked.
Okay. I'm gonna look for some kind of. So it uses a key, but and smashing it open would probably be a lot louder. May I try and shoot off this locking mechanism with a silenced well rod?
Bang! It works as a universal lockpick, probably a a little less a little less effective than a sledgehammer, which is also a good universal lockpick in most instances. So I found, yeah, you
Done.
you shoot your way inside. Give me a luck roll to see if you damage the contents.
All right. Never. 56 out of 59.
Ah, damn it. Right. Okay, you are a practice pro at this. You shoot at an angle so that you don't just go straight through the drawer. Which is you pull the drawer out,
What
and
am I, an
there is a
amateur?
copy. There is a copy of a book.
I will read the title.
There is no title on the spine or the outer cover. It's just a leather-bound book.
If I
Um,
open up a
it-
page and do I see like a script or things?
no, this is much older.
Oh, this is like a
This
straight up
this
book.
yeah, this is old type. Um,
Uh, all right.
as in, you think this is probably woodcut print. This is before the invention of the printing press. You think
What
Oh,
what
okay.
language is it in?
it's in English, old. It's admittedly this would be. I can't remember the exact definition. I think it's not Middle English, but it's early modern English from the time period.
Would we
You,
get a
you're
sense?
equate you're equating this as somewhere around about maybe 400 years old, somewhere in that ballpark.
Jeez. Would we get a sense of what it is just from reading the first one or two pages?
Like, if you go to the title, at least the title
Yeah.
page, so you open the front cover and then go towards, there is a very obvious title there. It's True Magic with a K at the end of magic. And
Um,
there are a number of bookmarks which have been positioned throughout the text.
okay, I'll stow this away in my bag. I'll let everyone know, like, hey, I found a possible occult tome, and it's some the reader ascribed value to it because they locked it up.
Mhm.
We should
So I think
probably
it's
give
worth,
this.
yeah, worth bringing back to N
We
or
should,
Davidge or Gross.
maybe not gross. He's had enough. He's had enough of a beating.
If he wants more, I can't stop him.
Glutton for punishment. Yep, you can gingerly put the copy of the book in your bag, so it won't crumble away. It's a quite sturdy binding, but it is still you don't want to be like flicking through it frantically.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of book. All right. Uh, the rest of the room seems to be fairly, uh, yeah,
You can't
innocuous.
hear me, can you?
Oh, I can hear you
I
now.
can now.
Oh, now you can.
Yeah.
Because I was yelling all that time. I was saying, "You say you found a book.
You
What's
were
the
muted,
We saw
title?"
actually.
you
Yes,
gesturing, but we didn't hear anything.
it's true magic.
It had you muted on
True,
the screen.
True Magic by Theophilus Wen.
Is it by?
Valuable book.
That's the one.
Yeah, we're gonna get this back to N.
Yeah, good
Anyone
stuff.
approaching? How's Lookout to treating you?
I haven't seen anyone. Nobody.
I want to look for any secret compartments.
Not really so much secret compartments, but if you have a look through the remainder of the other stuff that's been tipped over from the other drawers, there's a combination of things like stationery, so bottles of ink, some nice pens, but there are some other typed copies of the play itself.
Yeah,
So
we're burning those.
they're going up with the house. So, are you going to burn them specifically like in a waste paper bin in here, or are you going to leave them for the explosion?
Um, is there a fireplace?
Oh, there's a couple in the house, so yes.
Yeah, like if we just burn it in the waste paper bin, that's really suspicious. If we set a fire in the fireplace, that's not. Like,
Okay.
and I'm not risking these going out just relying on the explosion. So yeah, we're burning these.
Okay, you set time to burn everything in the room in terms of all the paperwork,
That's right.
including the plays. That'll take a couple of minutes, but it won't be roll worthy. It just takes a bit of time.
I will watch them burn
Mhm.
personally.
Yeah, you have this sort of warm feeling, from the flames, be from destroying a potentially dangerous mythos artifact, and that impression that you had of someone laying their hand on you last night on your shoulder. Now you can feel their fingers just wrapping across your shoulder in a somewhat
Yeah, he doesn't like that, huh?
discontented fashion. Doesn't seem like that.
Uh-oh.
Thing. And are your next fall? Are you heading down to the basement to set your bomb?
No.
Yeah, I think we're gonna clear the
They
basement first, right? We're not because none of us have gone in the basement yet. So let's all go in the basement, see if it's clear, and then
Gotcha. Oh, the way down is in the library on the ground floor. So there's
yeah.
little cubby hole at the back, which the fake bookcase swings out, but it's still swung out. You can head downstairs, and there's the drawstring light, which I believe is probably still lit because no one turned it off. No one was sane enough when they left to think about turning it off, or returned to go and see what was down there. So going down the stairs, you can see there is this wide open expanse of the house, the footprint of the house that is this basement, with a light above what appears to be some kind of circle in the middle of the footprint.
Was there any way for me to get to the basement without stepping in yellow?
Yes, it just takes a little bit of navigating
All right.
around, but you can get down there.
I do want to see, but
Mhm.
I should also like to see that book. But me sticking my noses into books is not such a great idea sometimes. But Theophilus Wynn's book is
yeah, I'm
fairly
sure it's real
well
eye-opening.
known. All right, I'll accompany you.
You'll be safe with Jean and I, Mr. Green.
I've never seen something that you can't take out with one of these and one of these.
Did you see? Was there writing on the walls upstairs? There's writing all over the walls down here.
It's just paint splashes.
No,
Uh,
there's the king in yellow has been written out on these walls.
I'm afraid that I have seen it too. There's some kind
You're
of
fortunate,
madness
Jean.
going around, like a virus.
You're fortunate, Jean-Pierre, that you can't see it.
All right, shall we to the basement?
Yep, you
Indeed.
see, you can head down the stairs. You are all, as far as I'm concerned, then down on the basement floor.
Yep.
How close are you getting to that stone circle?
I have
Right.
been forewarned, right, that he stepped in the room, like in the middle, right, in the light, and he set this thing off. So keeping a healthy distance away. I'm hugging the walls of this cellar basement.
Okay,
But
if you're hugging the walls, and are you going around to the other side of the?
Yeah.
You do come across. Then there is the that was mentioned down there. Three sets of clothes: the two kids and the what looks to be a motherly figure that correspond to the same outfit that I believe you saw actually in the home of Stephen Nash.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been torn open and are flecked with blood. But they've been there a long time.
Um, so nothing else of note, right? Do you know
There is
what
zero down here other than
do we
that.
know what the demolitions expert told us in order to damage this place the most? Like where
Yeah,
structurally?
yeah. I mean, it depends really on what your goal is. If you want to bury the thing, then you could easily set a charge in one of the corners of the house that would effectively bring the corner of the house down and then topple it literally like a house of cards.
Yeah.
Or if your primary goal was to destroy the circle, then you plant the blast or plant the charge as close as you can to the actual summoning circle
To the
itself.
circle, yeah.
It depends
Uh,
whether you want to bury it or whether you want just to be able to hope that then masonry falling down collapses it, or whether you want to blow the thing to kingdom come, but that would involve getting a lot closer.
can we have it both ways, where I place it in the corner in the room with the summoning circle?
The circle as it's
Load
positioned
bearing.
is has a lot of space around it. That's the only
Uh,
thing. Because it's deliberately set up in a way where it has plenty of room to move around it.
Can I, using my occult knowledge, examine the circle to see if I understand it or how it works or how I might wreck it?
You can give me a mythos roll for sure, yeah.
Can I do a
Mythos.
mythos roll?
Oh,
Yeah, if you both want
my
to,
mythos.
this will involve at least
Ah,
studying it in some fashion, so you will have to get a little bit closer to do that.
So I
damn it,
got a
I got
20.
another '07.
Oh, that sounds, is that good?
Yeah, I have 10. I wanted to push it again.
Okay.
oh my
I also have
gosh.
10. I also have 10 and I got a 20. And I would be willing to spend the 10 points to.
That's up to you. You can spend it if you want, then it's just the two of you will
All
know
right.
about it.
Yeah, I'll spend because I want to know.
Okay. Right. This thing is definitely circular, definitely is raised off the floor. It's almost like a slab, kind of maybe somewhat reminiscent then of the your previous exploits, but no, nothing triangular here. So no slabs that represent fire, but definitely is something that has been constructed. The the whole surface is then covered over in a series of lines and curves, which reminiscent of in other terms might be described as hypergeometry, but it's definitely to do with contacting something across a very, very vast distance. So there is a gate component of part of what this thing does because it brings something here as a quite definition, a summoning circle. It has to bring it from quite a distance away.
Sure.
Um,
Is it painted, drawn, or etched into
it's
the?
it's etched into the stone.
Because I'm
So the
wondering if I could damage it if I reached in and used the sharp
that
end to scratch the surface of the cement.
with a fail, I would say that is a perfectly legitimate way that you could attempt it. With a success, you would know that would give you a direct contact to the circle and it would activate.
Hmm.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if we went to the garden shed, got like a wheelbarrow, put the bomb in, and then pushed it like with a rake into the circle, would that also contact?
Yeah, the minute you have a contact with this thing, it will start to
Hmm.
drain magic points from everyone that is in the area.
Hmm.
But what you could do is use the rake to push the bomb right up to the edge, and then that would be sufficient.
Sounds like a good plan.
I have no idea what you two are talking about, but sure, that
We
works.
can't touch it. That's the dangerous part.
And we can't touch
Can't
it by
touch.
proxy either, so
No.
okay.
Uh, but we can put the bomb close. I'm just afraid, if you put a piece of dynamite onto a large cement slab and fire off the dynamite, all of the energy is just going to go upward. It's probably not going to do much damage at all to the cement that's underneath it. You need something to focus the explosion.
Like a shaped charge.
I don't know. I
By
feel like
putting
the dynamite's good enough.
by putting it close enough to the exterior of the circle, at least the immediate area would destroy a
Yeah.
good couple of
The edge of
feet.
it.
Yeah, which would be enough to neutralize it.
Yeah.
I've seen
With
explosives in my time. Fun, the
yeah,
Great War, you know.
exactly.
The neighbors will think it's just a German bomb that's hit.
Yeah.
Unexploded ordnance or something.
But it
Now
wouldn't
with
hurt
all
if we packed around it with other flammable things.
I mean, yeah, I mean if we want to get gas cans, it seems like overkill. We will just set them up.
Gas cans have to be something you would have to have brought with you because remember, petrol is rationed at this point, so
Oh.
it isn't just going to be laying around. But
Well,
also, with
I say we do the
looking
rake
at-
trick.
We do
looking at
what
the
we
circle
can,
as well,
yes.
you do have a little bit more of an idea about what this thing summons. Because also there was what George and Melvin had told you what they saw appeared last time anyway. But there's hints that do bring to mind a certain word that begins with A. Azathoth, which has
Yeah.
been mentioned previously, and seeing this thing definitely convinces you that this thing is attuned to a particular god, and it's not a very nice one.
not a good one. No.
Yes,
Other
when I
good
was
ones.
when I was in France, I remember the German doctor who was summoning dark creatures had something about this.
You know, mythology-wise, it's the god of insanity. So let's do this. We can use a rake to push it over, or anything if there's something down here already.
A rake will
Broom.
work perfectly fine. So we'll say again, nothing to put barriers in the way here. You very cautiously and very carefully push this thing right up to the edge of the circle, and you're ready to have it set, so you can literally push the button and leg it if you so wish.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Which
Off
case
we go.
you push and then make your way not hastily, but a good word to describe this, with intent, leaving it at a good pace.
With
And
passion.
there you go.
How
And go
long?
back out the way you came in.
When will it go off? In an
How
hour?
long
In
do you,
a half
how
hour?
long
now.
do you want?
10 minutes?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
10's good. So, because it is a timer, you just set the timer and then push it.
Yeah. So as
Right,
we're leaving, I'll be like, I'm very curious though, Captain Oswald, the book that you found. You said there were some marks, some
Most likely annotations.
perhaps it'll give us some clue as to what they were using it for.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I don't
Let's
think
examine this after we deal with the
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
gesture
we'll
towards
do
the
it
building
after we
that's about to
go.
explode.
Yeah.
Where are you going in that 10 minutes that you've got before everything goes bang?
I'd like to get to the vehicle and then drive to a point where we can visually confirm that it blew up.
Okay. You could park on the road that goes around Regent's Park. So that would give you as close to a direct view at it, because there is a line of trees that separates the Hanover Terrace from the view of the park itself to give it some privacy. But you can park up on there without any difficulty and then watch what's happening. Can I have a group luck roll? So
Oh,
whoever
no.
has the lowest luck.
Oh
25
boy,
here.
my luck is now at 14.
Oh.
Yeah, my
Okay.
luck's 59.
44. Yeah, no luck.
Okay. In which case then, about 4 minutes into your having relocated, this is the point where you're suddenly maybe not suddenly, but you're kind of piecing together what you're seeing and then working through the sequence of events. Looks like that next door neighbor saw you going into the back garden, has gone out through the front of their house to go and find the first basically Bobby on the beat, because there is a policeman with what seems to be a concerned neighbor that is going up to the front door and knocking on the front
Oh,
door,
he's
trying to
vaporized.
get
It's
inside.
over.
No
How
civilian
much time do I have
casualties,
left?
Oswald.
I have
You've got 6 minutes before it goes up.
okay. And there's a policeman in the way.
A policeman and a concerned neighbor. This lovely lady you think is probably in her 60s, wearing a shawl wrapped around her, that you can probably hear from a distance in a very shrill, kind of not Monty Python voice, but
I'm
all
full
my old
sprinting
ladies turn out to be
towards
that.
the two.
Why?
Okay, you
Why?
can start running.
We can't have just innocent people die.
But they're not going to go inside the house.
You don't know that.
That would be breaking and
I'm
entering.
wasting time. I leave.
You approach then just as the point, and what you're running over to them, just at the point where you can hear the old lady saying, "I'm sure Mr. Graves left me in case everyone I needed to go in. Just this, it's what good neighbours do, you know. Yes, I'll go and see if I can find that key and find out what those naughty people were doing."
Excuse me, ma'am. Flash the badge.
But
And the bomb goes off.
kaboom!
That was the timer.
Yeah, that was the timer. Excuse me, ma'am. We have reports of a dropped bomb. I need you to evacuate the premises immediately. We don't know if it's been set off. This is deathly serious. May I intimidate?
I was going to say your choice of intimidate or persuade.
All right. I can't have
Are
these
you
innocent
when
people.
you say you're flashing a badge? Are you
I'm
flashing
flashing
your
my
police
badge.
credentials?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. In which case,
That is a 32. If I may, I can spend it down to the hard if you'd like.
no, regular's fine.
Okay.
I mean, the constables go looking a little bit blinking, and is wow. I mean, I've just arrived on the scene. Someone else called in a unexploded.
Yeah, there's an unexploded bomb. You need to leave right now.
At which point he joins with you in gesturing. Well, we better if you pull up back to a safe distance.
I'm going to point at the
knocking on
cop and
doors.
say, "You establish a perimeter right now to make sure no other civilians get hurt."
Well, are you going to take care of the neighbors and
That's right.
get them out? Okay, go ahead. And he starts heading out onto to the street. Starts kind of waving down any cars that were going to pass.
I'm assuming it's going to blow up at some point.
Oh, he will do, but you reckon you've got about 5 minutes before it does go up. Are you going to take that time to go around the neighbors and evacuate the area?
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay. Roll me a d6.
D6. Oh boy. A 6? Whatever that means.
It maybe takes a little bit longer than you had planned. Waiting for people on the door, so you're frantically thinking, okay, how long have I got? How long have I got? As you're banging on the door at the end of the street to try and get the last folks out, again getting them to the cordon where the constable is, when there is this almighty boom that happens at the end of Hanover Terrace. Give me a dex roll.
Dex roll. All right. Ooh, I'll have to spend money for that one. I'll spend 13 luck.
Okay. You land on the floor then, just as a piece of what you think may have been masonry above the door of 1 Hanover Terrace that then just flies probably somewhere near to where your head would have been if you didn't throw yourself down on the dirt.
God.
But yeah, you literally dodged a piece of doorway there.
That's exhilarating.
Right. And we will leave you there then for a moment as the stinking or the smoking wreck of Hanover Terrace collapses in on itself as that explosive ripped through the floor, took out the interior walls, and the house still collapsed down on itself, as well as obliterating that circle down in the basement.
I'm just gonna lay on the grass just for a little while longer.
As you're laying down looking at the ground, there may be a figure comes over you, wrapping a shawl around and saying, "Would you like some tea, dear?"
I look back, and who is it?
It's the old lady that came that had ratted on you to the police in the first instance that you evacuated back behind the court.
Yes, a nice couple would do well.
Yeah. Yep. Right, George and Melvin, you head off to Piccadilly. So
Yes.
the hotel is, oddly enough, as you've been there before, it's not inordinately busy, but there are a few people which are around in the lobby. You spot a couple of people there reading like the newspaper. They've probably come out from breakfast, and they're just seemingly taking the time of day, either watching the world go by or soaking up the ambience. But rather than doing it up in their hotel room, they're seeing people come to and fro. There's deliveries which are being made, so you're not the only people coming through the front door. It's mainly like the post is being delivered through the front door. Bigger deliveries would obviously come around the back where they would have like a loading bay. But yeah, the place is working, functional hotel. Everything seems pretty normal. There's the familiar face that you've seen at the front desk before, the receptionist, Shelley Green, I think her name is from memory. quickly get the picture up. Yeah, Shelley Green. There we go.
Right. So George, we've of course gone home and shaved and freshened up and whatnot. Um, do we think we want to, we'll sit on some, hotel lounge furniture and plan. Do we want to go, as was suggested, actually suggesting that we anticipate an attack of some kind, or do we want to be more general? We the the yard is checking out people's preparation for uh, bombing events. We want to see. Do we want to ask for schematics of the bunker and its ventilation system? How do we?
Yeah, we definitely need to play the police card. I don't know if we need. I think we keep it discreet for now.
Yes, one of my concerns is that if we inform them that we're official and then we attempt to pretend to just be guests in a couple of days, we'll have tipped our hand. Or do we want to say we rented these suites on the first floor because we anticipate trouble and we want to be prepared for it? Do we want to come clean in that sense?
Yes, and we can always give the desk clerk a uh, little bit of money to sweeten the deal.
Yeah, well, although if we're going to act in an official capacity or pretend to be doing so, we'd probably want to speak to the general manager and not the desk clerk.
Well, either way, uh, just because we're pretending to be police, money talks. So
Yes, we don't want to give mixed messages. Perhaps we ask to see the general manager, flash the ID, and ask for a tour of the bunker. And then we have at least we can sketch out the lay of the land ahead of time, which might be useful either for infiltration or for.
yes, that might be a good. I'm just worried how guarded they keep it, but I'm sure they shouldn't decline a tour.
No, not from officials from the city. And that
if
way we
they
get some
did,
information. And in all likelihood, we're not going to see the hotel manager as guests until events begin to unfold. So we don't have to worry about tipping our hand in that regard.
yes, we just need to be careful.
Yeah, and actually, come to think of it, if they are limiting access to their private bunker, which has capacity, say, for 150, but they're only letting 50 people in, we might say something on the order of we're tallying total capacity for safeguarding the citizens in the event of an immediate bombing.
Yes.
And that way we could lay a bit of rail ahead of saying, you should really be letting more people down here than you are.
Yes, that sounds like a plan, Melvin.
It sounds like one. The great thing about plans is they survive the very first external input before they collapse utterly.
Yes. What could possibly go wrong, Melvin?
What indeed. All right, let's speak to Ms. Green and ask to see the manager.
Okay, so you head over to her. She's nice and perky as she's normally been. Say freckles around her nose and cheeks. Nice hair pulled back immaculately, and says, "Oh yeah, I'll go and get Mr. Elliot right away for you." And she's like, "Well, wait for me 1 second." And she totters off, heads around the back, and about a minute later, returns with this gentleman in a black suit, white shirt, black tie, jet black hair swept back, this very thick but not particularly bushy black moustache. Looks like he is someone that would treat his appearance quite highly. He is impeccable. There's not a hair out of place, not any dust on his suit. His tie is perfectly tied. He is a very attention to detail driven person, you think. And he comes up to the desk and with a very prim and proper RP accent. Says, yes, my receptionist here said that you would like to have a word with me.
Uh, yes, Mr. Elliot, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you very much for your time. I'm Spofford Harris. This is Bruce. We're doing a district by district analysis of space in bomb shelters, bunkers, whatnot, trying to make sure that the capacity in each area is sufficient and just get a general tally. If you have 10 minutes, or you could, or some assistant of yours could show us your bomb shelter, we'll make a few notes, get some numbers, and get out of your hair.
Yep. He keeps everything very quiet so as not to broadcast that you're talking about this across the rest of the lobby. You can give me your choice of persuade or credit rating. With if you're using your credentials that have been supplied to you, you can get a bonus die on that as well.
I mean, we really should use George's credit rating, I'm assuming, is the best option.
Yes.
I've got the same persuade and credit, but I'm not as wealthy as George is.
I can chime in with my vast charm, my money, basically.
Just show him how wealthy your accent is.
I don't know why I looked because it's 50 and I've got more than 50.
Oh, you're way above that. Yeah. Right. In which case, yep, he doesn't question it. He says, right, I think we should, if you like to follow me, I'll take you down there right away. And reaches into his, underneath his jacket to a loop that goes around his belt, which he then pulls round and starts to twist a key off it. And as he leads you deeper into the hotel, down to the main stairwell, he takes you down rather than heading up, which looks like it may just go down to utility areas in the basement, but then does come to a pretty heavy door. It's not quite a bank vault style door, but it's pretty close to it. But it is one that still does open with a regular key. You can give me your choice of either spot hidden or locksmith.
Uh,
I have a regular on spot hidden. I'm curious about that key.
Okay. The key is definitely the key that goes into this lock, and it is quite a heavy duty thing. So it is quite a chunky key that he pulls off this ring of his. But the thing that you notice is that there are telltale scratch marks that have unable to be hidden around the lock to this door. Someone has picked it or been practicing picking on it relatively recently. But Elliot doesn't appear to notice this. He just puts the key in the lock, probably turns it with a big, not quite overly dramatic turn of the wrist, but definitely you hear a clunk. So it takes a bit of a degree of effort to turn this, and grabs hold of a bar, which then turns, and he starts pulling the door open. And yep, it leads into a quite nicely appointed bomb shelter. There was obviously significantly more room than the beds have got set up in here. You think it could take easily a dozen normally, but it does look as though some more space has been put aside in here recently. There are a couple of other extra beds which have been set up. So there's currently room for, let me just do the maths, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's currently room for 16, so 3 extra double beds have been placed down here. So there's evidently sign where some of the setup here has been maneuvered, probably you reckon in the last couple of days. There is the raised stage area for the musicians at the far end. There is pipe work in here for obviously the air extraction and air filtration system. There's a lot of mod cons, which you are familiar with, having spent time in bomb shelters pretty often very recently. But yeah, this is the Rolls Royce of bomb shelters compared to a lot of the other places you've been to over the course of the last couple of months.
So this comfortably sleeps 16, and it would be what, 85 people if it were under a normal building?
Oh yeah, this would easily be three digits.
Three digits. All right. Um, so, Mr. Elliott, I see that you can comfortably accommodate 16 guests and a small staff, I guess, as well. Perhaps
Indeed, yes.
entertainers. Yeah.
Yeah, we have cot beds that we can break out in the instance that we do need to be down here. We tend to sleep in shift patterns, so we don't want to have the guests wake and then suddenly find that they're in need of something. They don't want to wake up us as well. So we always have someone awake while we're down here. But we kind of rotate half on, half off.
And how many of the hotel staff would be down here at any given time then?
It depends on the occupancy. At the minute, we're looking at a full 16 for the next few nights. So normally we like to have 10, so we would ideally want 5 members of staff at a max. We want roughly one to two ratio. So we will have to increase that to 8. So it is going to be getting a little comfy for a little yeah, we'll have to get to know each other rather well down here on some of the cot beds.
Right. Now, in the event of an emergency, should a larger evacuation in the neighborhood be required, how many civilians could you admit without unduly imposing upon your guests?
He looks for a moment. He just blinks like a rabbit caught in headlights. Civilians down here. This is a private shelter. This isn't open to the public.
Yes, I understand. But say there were an early evacuation and there was a theater nearby and they were above capacity. We needed to house 20 people of a sudden. Could we count on your cooperation in such an extreme circumstance?
I mean, they would have to know it's here. This isn't something that we advertise. It's very much a thing that only the guests here would be aware of. I could almost lay bets, not that I'm a betting man, sir, but I could go outside and pull any of the people walking past outside to off to one side and say, "Did you happen to know there's a bomb shelter in here?" And I could guarantee you that the number of people that would say yes would either be lucky guesses, liars, or very, very, very unlikely that they would be maybe former guests of the establishment. I said, this is not something we advertise.
Certainly not. I mean, the reputation of the Piccadilly Hotel is something that must be maintained.
Indeed.
The reason that we're inquiring is because the we are aware that we're concerned that in emergency situations, we might have to shuttle people into places that they otherwise wouldn't be seen. We're trying to accommodate, we're trying to calculate the precise number of available spaces in safe places underground. Give the concrete a little thump with my heel and say, obviously, this is an exceptionally well maintained facility for, again, clientele of a certain status.
Mm-hmm.
But rather than letting, 24 civilians be crushed by rubble in front of the Piccadilly, you'd rather have them down here than that larger blot on the reputation.
No, quite. I certainly understand where you're coming from there. In the let's say in the unlikely circumstance where we would need to facilitate members from the outside, members of the public from the outside, in such a extreme circumstance, I'm sure that we would be able to persuade the other guests that they would be welcome here on a very temporary basis, like for the night. Obviously, we wouldn't send them out onto the streets. We've never turned anyone away. I mean, we've never had anyone that came in off the street anyway asking for sanctuary here anyway. So this would be a very hypothetical case. But in the event that that was to happen, then yeah, you could easily see well, standing room. We could fit easily maybe 80 people in here after the beds, but that would be ooh, that wouldn't be very nice for everyone involved, really. I mean, standing up for hours throughout the course of the whole night.
Certainly not. And in addition to the staff, roughly 1 to 2 ratio, there are a few entertainers, I assume, as well, at the stage area.
Yeah, we tried to have a few. We normally have a string quartet.
Hmm. Right. And they probably only play, until people have recovered from the anxiety of fleeing the air raid alarm.
Yeah.
Do they then remain down, or is there a separate area for musicians?
There's a partitioned area towards the back. Again, there's a couple of partitions here, which when he points out where they are, it's pretty discreet, but it does allow. There's almost you think initially it's just a wall of the bomb shelter that there's nothing beyond it, but tucked into the corner at each end of the wall, you realize it's actually a servant's entrance that then leads up into that partitioned area, and that's where the cot beds have been laid out. So that's where also like the inner workings of things like where they can go and make tea, where there's stores of drinks, where there's stores of food and uh, other such hotel items like spare sheets and like that. All that stuff is kept out of sight down here, but that's where the hotel staff would be relocating to, along with the likes of the string quartet.
Right.
So they're not sleeping and snoring out in the open between the guest beds.
Right. And when you say staff entrance, you don't mean a separate entrance to the bunker. You mean that a little behind the counter where the staff goes to be out of the way.
Exactly that. Yeah, the latter.
Right. George, wasn't there something? Didn't we have an information about some union activist unrest about the shelter here?
Yes, I do recall something. I cannot remember particularly. Let me look through my notes. I do know supposedly there was a woman turned away, someone in distress.
Yep. Elliot looks at you. He just again blinks like he's a rabbit in headlights or a deer out on the road. It's like a woman turned away.
Yes, Melvin, in your notes, do you have the woman's name? I seemingly have misplaced. But I definitely have a witness statement of someone was turned away.
Don't believe that the lady had a name according to the story that you were given, but you were given a name of the worker at the hotel who was then fired because he let her in.
Yes.
But obviously that name has to be a fake because it corresponds with the name of the
Yes.
man that killed Henderson back in 1905.
Yes.
But you can give me psychology rolls if you want as you examine Elliot's response to this.
To be fair, George is just spitballing out on that server.
I've got a 4 under 60, so I'm reading his every sweat trickle.
Okay. He doesn't sweat like he's a guilty man. He doesn't radiate any guilt whatsoever because he honestly has no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
Which pretty much confirms the story that you were told about that was a lie.
Right. Yes, you know how the agitators will spread rumors about. So that's worth noting. And
yes,
also suggests that you're correct in your assumption that very few people even guess that you have a separate facility here. We'll try to keep it that way, of course.
Yeah, I am somewhat concerned, though, that you said a unionist heard about that there was the bomb shelter down here. How would they know?
I'm sure while you maintain the most discreet staff you can manage, there's always difficulty with help, isn't there? Have you let anyone go recently who might be disgruntled and be spreading tales to the union?
No, we've only had one member of staff, unfortunately, that's left our employ, and that was only because he unfortunately he was killed a couple of nights ago. So poor Edward Bridges, one of our caretakers and kind of handymen. His murder was reported in the news. I understand he was killed at King's Cross Station.
Yes, the Trump went
Yes,
public incident. We have a colleague looking into that. As we'll yes,
we'll
most ghastly.
cross-reference.
Yeah,
Yes.
and your psychology role, because you've got such a good read on him, I'll let that ride. There is a genuine aura of kind of sadness there. It seems like he actually did, he obviously knew him, even though he's a managerial position. He knew Bridges and seemed to like him, and that yeah, there's definitely he's upset by the fact that there's a person that was on his watch was murdered, even though it didn't happen in the hotel. He still feels bad about it.
Dreadful business. Um, you said you generally have string quartets. Do you have a standing band that has, spends a period of a couple of weeks and then is replaced by the group, or?
Yeah, we normally have the same four resident artists, as it were. Um, we sometimes we change up the music style, but otherwise it's the same four musicians.
Well, as long as you stay away from that noisome jazz music.
Oh, we're a respectable establishment here.
All right. I think, Mr. Gross, we've taken up enough of this gentleman's time.
Yes, I think so. If we have any more questions at all, I hope you don't mind us coming by and asking.
Oh, any time, just go ask the front desk, and I'll come. Not running, but I will drop everything and come out. So not a problem.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Hmm. Okay. He will happily show you out, and obviously when he goes back out, he will lock the door to the bomb shelter again after turning out the lights, and then will um, lead you back up to the lobby.
Righto. Run away, run away.
Yeah,
Um,
you can make an exit. You do notice that there's at least one. There's two people there. So two men, both you think in their either mid 30s, early 40s, potentially. That definitely pay you attention as you walk out with a not a kind of suspicious air of curiosity, but definitely it's a case of, oh, you just come out with someone that looks like he's in a position of authority. I'm just going to watch you as you head on out, and then return back to reading the newspapers.
ah, I considered George as we stroll down the street. Uh, I considered pointing out to the fellow that somebody's been tampering with the lock. It might be helpful if they called a locksmith between now and Wednesday and replaced it. We could always
Uh,
phone him about it, but it does suggest that they're not
do you,
they're not dependent on being invited, I guess, or they're planning to increase their number or even lock
I,
people in.
I think there might be a shout reporting the lock. Because then if he gets it changed, it might hinder him a little bit.
Can I have an opposed roll? Your spot hidden against my stealth?
I've only got a regular on that.
Uh, 27, 27 hard success.
I'm also on a hard with my 12, so what's your skill? Because that will break the tie.
Uh, 58 is my whole.
Beats my 40. So, in which case, you notice that coming out as you've wandered down the street a little bit and as you're having this chat on the pavement, you notice the elder of the two gentlemen that was inside, the guy that's probably in his early 40s, has wandered outside, newspaper under one arm, and is walking down the street towards you and has taken up a position against the wall of the building not too far away from you, as if he is eavesdropping at what you're saying, rolling up a cigarette as he does.
Uh, I gestured. I use gestures to Melvin and eye contact rather than speaking,
Oh,
and then subtly point to the man. Well,
uh-huh.
not point, but with my eyes look.
Yeah, and I'll have a look
I
at
don't just go.
I'll get a reflection in my glasses, give it a little wipe. Uh-huh. Um, let's see how far he follows us, George.
Yes, let's just talk random stuff, random nonsense.
I'm trying to get out to the theater more often, but it's with the curfew and all, it's so difficult to enjoy a show at the West End.
Yes, I've always wanted to see a performance of Macbeth.
Oh, we say the Scottish play.
Yes, yes, and also that Othello. It's a very riveting play. Probably one of my favorites.
But by the time you're actually heading towards probably Piccadilly, the entrance to the underground station at Piccadilly Circus, which is not too far away, as previously mentioned, from the Piccadilly Hotel. If you're wandering far enough away from the hotel, the guy behind you does actually kind of yell out to you and call, "Sorry, excuse me, you two gentlemen," and does so with a very distinct American accent.
Hmm. No, it's curious.
Americans? Who hangs out with Americans?
Hello, yes, what?
Oh, he comes forward, so he's still got his newspaper tucked under one arm, but reaches into his pocket with one hand as he extends another. And are you doing anything or allowing him to pull his hand out?
I don't think he's gonna...
I probably have a weapon. I'm going to be in defense mode just in case, but I'm not doing any.
Okay, you're being cautious, but not pulling a gun on him. That's the key thing. Okay, and Melvin?
I'm gonna take the proffered hand.
Okay, yeah,
I don't think he's about to stab me on the high street.
Well, someone remembers he'd smash a car door and almost got damaged with a lucky hit.
Mm.
But yeah, he shakes with one hand and then pulls out a notepad and pen from his pocket and with the other, and says, "Yeah, I just don't notice. Sorry, I've newspaperman's eye. I saw you having a word with the owner, or at least the manager, back at the hotel. I'm staying there. My name's Marvin Dayton. I'm a correspondent with the Washington Post that's in town, covering the events of the war, and just wondered if I could grab a couple of words from you, fine gentlemen."
Yes, I think it's very important that we get you Yankees are well informed about what's going on here during the Blitz. We could use all the encouragement we can proffer. Do we sit park bench, or do you want to go somewhere? Of course, we can't say anything particularly about the hotel. I'm surprised that your newspaper is sufficiently lucrative to put you up at a spot like that.
Call it danger pay, sending us into a war zone after all.
True enough. What can we help you with, Mr. Dayton?
The Washington Post is a very let's say affluent, very exclusive newspaper. So they tend to treat their foreign correspondents or their war correspondents very, very well. But yeah, I was just interested because you came into the hotel and obviously got the manager to come out just after he'd been with us all night down in the bomb shelter. I was wondering if I caught maybe you were displaying some or what seemed to be documents or credentials of authority, and then had him go very quiet. I was just wondering if there was something that we needed to worry about in the hotel.
Oh, I shouldn't think so at the Piccadilly. No. And in fact, you know more about the shelter than we do. This is part of a district-wide assessment of shelters. Nothing specific.
He starts scribbling in his notepad as you do so. Yeah.
Mhm.
A district-wide survey, you say?
Yes, several of us from the office are covering different areas of the city, and we anticipate, after all, that the blitz is going to get worse before it gets better. And so we are trying to, be as prepared as possible. A space like the
Can I sight roll this man while he's...
Yep, you certainly can. So give me psychology.
I think I'm too busy bullshitting to read him. I
right.
really don't want to be quoted.
I'm gonna spend before luck to succeed.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely have a genuine whiff or scent of newshound. This is definitely not an actor portraying a part. This is a genuine, maybe slightly bored new journalist who has suddenly latched onto. Hang on a minute, there might even be the hint of a story here. I can get something extra in, and he's latched onto you two as you were authority figures that were having a word with the manager.
It is while he's chatting is there anyone else around? Anyone
There's commuters
clear?
passing you
Just
by, going back and forth, but there's no one loitering around watching you
okay.
specifically. No.
Yeah, this man might be in my head. This man might be useful to have a. Okay, let's just see what Melvin can do.
Yeah, so I take it that the shelter at the Piccadilly is rather comfortable.
It's not too bad, although they had to make some room recently. We've had a couple of extra guests that have turned up, so it's a bit more packed than we were told it was going to be originally. But yeah, plus he lowers his voice slightly to a more conspiratorial level and says, "Well, the Stevens sisters that have been staying down there, they're a bit of a handful." So
Mm. Well, the gentry can be eccentric. It's one of their prerogatives, after all. You might find that you have a more interesting copy for your newspaper if you take a night off from the Piccadilly and come and join us in the underground.
oh,
Yes, there's a great deal of activity, fascinating clashes and intersections of London personality. And last night, I don't know, George, we had several reasons. We had blasts close enough that chunks of plaster were coming out of the ceiling, which
really?
Yes,
keep your eyes open.
it's pretty bad.
Having a first-hand account of that would be quite eye-opening for the readers back home, certainly. Yeah. And it's still fairly safe down in the communal shelters.
Yes,
Yes, fairly.
it's colorful. No place, of course, is completely safe. The Nazis have been honing their skills, after all. Well, despite our best efforts, sometimes they make a proper hit.
Oh well, yeah, I'll certainly consider that. Either maybe tonight. I mean, because this has been happening daily, hasn't it, or nightly, hasn't it? So it's not as if I'm going to be spoilt for choice as to which evening to go down.
No, the only thing is that we never know where they'll hit next. I think
Hmm.
they're playing a sort of nightly game of battleship. They think they've covered this bend of the Thames one night, so they'll try a little bit farther to this side or that.
Or of course, as I had a interview, got a couple of moments with one of the air raid precautions officers earlier, the ARP wardens, and he was explaining about obviously the smallest light could potentially attract any of the bombers from above. So yeah, their trademark screamer, "Put that light out!" is very uh, a very common heard call.
Yes, and to that end, the emergency vehicles that have to move around in the dead of night have to do
Mm,
so in the dark. So,
indeed.
make sure that you keep to curfew.
Hmm.
But
Oh,
yes,
it's I certainly don't intend on being out in the street when all hell starts raining down from above.
Um, I make eye contact with George, like, uh, this is uh, this is not my official card. This is my private card. I'm a barrister as well as working with the authorities. If you have any further questions or something specific comes up, you can reach me through this number here.
Oh, sure, perfect. He'll take that, and likewise he'll proffer
And
one back for himself.
and I'll give my card as well. And if you ever fancy more chats, you can always come to my private estate.
Sure. And he hands he gestures a card over to yourself as well, which is when he then kind of pauses for a second as he looks you in the eyes, and maybe at this point, because he's been talking with Melvin more than yourself, maybe he suddenly realizes you're not blinking, and it slightly weirds him out a bit.
Uh,
But he
I
hands the card in your direction.
I go to him. I have a condition, I'm afraid.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, sorry, kind of. It's rude to stare. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Not saying that
called
you're being rude. That more than me being rude. And he gets a little
uh,
bit flustered.
it's fine. It's called Lucky Oblique Vitus. It's fine.
Oh, right. Okay. I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
It's a it's a really serious condition. It started about a year ago. It affects the brain. I could sadly pass away from it.
Oh, well, I very much hope that isn't the case.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah.
Yes.
Well, good luck to you, sir.
Yes. Thank you for your time.
Right. And he not quickly, but with a slightly increasing speed, just backs up and then starts heading in the direction of the hotel, turning his attention back to Melvin as he waves and yeah, heads back to the lobby.
Well, I'm glad we didn't got him down in the street there. It was a little bit alarming for a moment.
Well, the problem is you cannot trust people when they're going to pull out random things from their pocket these days.
Indeed.
Right.
All right then. Yes.
I was
No,
going to say, I think we can probably cut forward a little bit. So if everyone wants to meet back up again. So do you want to meet back up at Trafalgar Square, the bookshop, or anywhere else in mind that you wanted to go to together?
no, I think spot of lunch and then back to N.
And take a look at that book.
Mhm.
See what they were up to.
Okay, so you can meet in one. N will be able to give you one of the meeting rooms upstairs in the kind of complex of offices that they have up there. So you have a nice private room to sit and peruse through the book. You've got a big square table chair, big light, bright light hanging above it. So you've got plenty of room to all examine this thing together, should you so wish. Right, the book is indeed true magic, as you've identified. There are a number of bookmarks and a number of pieces of paper that have then been slipped in between other pages of the book, where evidently some notes have been made in a more cursive handwriting with a fountain pen. It's obviously not part of the original book itself. But the passages which are outlined describe a number of features. There's obviously the description of the servitors of the outer gods, that they are messengers, they are almost like a herald or advance guard that comes forth ahead of a manifestation of an outer god, such as Azathoth is name checked, also Yog-Sothoth and the bigger named deities out there in the wider universe. There's also mentioned separately, not in direct connection with the mention of the servitors, but mention of that there is an ability that the gods are known to have, which is that they can reach back through time to pull forward moments from the past into the present. There's different conjectures over how that manifests, whether it's either reaching back into the dreams of Azathoth, because we are all ultimately dreams in his consciousness, that we are nothing but figments in a dream that is the universe itself, that reaching back through the memory of the god, you can pull a moment from the past to the future, or that it's you're reaching through different spheres and grabbing hold of a bubble of time if you're looking at it in terms of Yog-Sothoth. But there are ways by which you can summon the past into the present, and that this power is supposedly only known by the gods or those that serve them. So it seems like Graves, who is obviously making these notes in the sheets, is making connections between these passages and has written down, "Do the servitors know how to bring back the past?" Question mark. There's then details of this summoning circle. This is where he's evidently had the spell to be able to pull this thing together, and that's how he's built it. So it's specifically attuned to summon a servitor from the court of Azathoth at the center of the universe. So this thing would require a lot of energy, require a lot of magic points in mechanical terms to be able to call a creature forward. It doesn't appear that he's used it in a method by which N had suggested that it could be a very good trap to lay for anyone that starts snooping around. He built this thing specifically so he could call a servitor. From what his notations are implying is he got it so that he could learn this, calling forth this echo of the past into the present. There's also a couple of other fairly nasty looking passages which he's bookmarked. One that details the process by which you can enchant a blade to become a sacrificial dagger, which harvests energy from those that it claims the life of. And it looks like there's notes where this thing requires a lot of blood being spilt and requires a lot of bathing under certain phases of the moon. And yeah, you almost feel your skin crawl reading this. The abhorrent acts that this thing is asking you to perform to bless this blade. It's almost like creating a blasting rod if you read the Red Dragon or the Grand Grimoire. The same kind of icky process you have to go through to be able to make this thing. That it definitely involves death to then to create an item that is just even more effective or more beneficial at killing people.
And it's a storage device to store this energy so that you can then turn it and use it to summon an elder god or
whatever, so the caster so wishes. This reserve of power can be used for anything they so wish.
So rather than the crushing brain that I experienced when I stumbled across that thing, he could say, spend the life of a woman and two of her children and not take any of that himself.
There's no mention of what there would be actually that there. The book does mention about if you do call a servitor and you want to make a deal with it, it will almost certainly ask for a very high payment. You're probably thinking that when he called the servitor up, he used them as payment for whatever he got from it.
Didn't even have the decency to properly dispose of their clothing.
Nope.
Tossed it into a corner, wretch.
We need to destroy him, especially. But if he has learned how to call things out of the past, then does that mean that he could simply repeat this whole thing over and over again until he finally succeeds?
Not if he dies the first time he tries.
Is this the first time that he's tried?
Well, if he dies this time, he can't try again. The emphasis on him being able to repeat it is one thing that we need to prevent.
I assume the thing he's going to try to call out of the past is the last time they tried this.
Yes, whatever they had that they lost. The rest of the acting troupe?
I mean, it seems to be champing at the bit to get into our universe already. I don't know that he needs this additional thing. He's got the resonances and the troop and everything that's required, as far as I can tell. We made a friend who will be in the hotel, who might be able to vouch for us getting in on Wednesday, at least a couple of us. The manager himself seems to be on the up and up. And it was clear that they've been sneaking around, and they may have figured out how to pick the lock to the shelter already. Or they may have attempted to and tried. I don't know how we want to respond to that, if at all. 2 nights.
I thought that all we'd have to do is stop the play, but there may be much more going on here.
It seems like our Earth is merely a mirror for the other world.
Very poetically stated, yes.
You do feel
I'm
confident.
French.
You feel confident you blew the thing up, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we confirmed.
I wonder if that's something he'll take in stride, or whether it's something that'll cause him to be alarmed and cautious.
I don't know
Graves.
that he even checked there before. You say it did look quite abandoned.
Yeah, there'll still be items in the news, though.
I mean, he already knows we're looking after him. One of his people, I almost severed his head with my knife, and Oswald also killed him pretty bad.
Killed me.
He almost killed Davidge, yeah.
Do we have a sense of how you were spotted?
They were probably watching the hotel. And therefore watching us. I don't know if he was acting alone, that assailant, or if there was one with him and then one left and he attacked. We just don't know. We should assume that they know us.
We have to be thorough, because if we leave any one of them, whoever they are, alive, then they can simply come back and try again. For all we know, we've been looping this many times, and we've succeeded. We've succeeded every time, but somebody, one of them at least, has come back in time to stop us. Maybe that's how they knew who we were, because they've already encountered us. This is nuts and nonsense, but if they have such a gift, if they have such a thing that they can do, how do we stop it?
Yes, how do we stop this?
We need to write down everything that we know and leave it for ourselves.
Yes. We could write a book. Wait, I am writing a book.
Well, if
Yes.
our world really is reflecting this weird other place, then the only thing we can do is to break the mirror and to destroy all of the parts that are the focus for this event. So the basement, blow it up.
It stands to reason that if they're doing that, if they're somehow moving back in time, it also tells us something, that we were at least once successful. We need to be more thorough. If we can make sure we kill all of them, then there's nobody left to come back and stop
Yes.
us.
Those of you with Mythos can give me a roll.
Oh, 2 out of 10.
34.
Oh, free.
Oh, you're really
34.
on fire tonight.
That's extreme.
Can I push
Right.
it?
I think in this case it would be that you might jump to a completely wrong conclusion
Okay.
if you wanted to. But it seems like two people here have got the right idea and would probably shoot you down if you voiced the wrong concern. So, for Davidge and George, then the kind of the penny maybe drops that maybe all this planning, all this effort they've been to suddenly starts making sense. That there is, in terms of magic, there is this idea of sympathetic connections. If you were to extend that to temporal sympathy, they would have to create almost like a person with a rifle would be aiming at a target. They take their time to aim. That they've taken steps to recreate as much of the past in the present already by the mirroring the death at the murder at the train station, the attack of you guys as the investigators outside what is now the hotel, but what was then the theater, and the killing of the landlady. All these incidents are echoes of what has previously come beforehand. They're laying the framework or the foundations for what will lead up to the recreation of this night when the performance happened. And that little drop moment happens. What if this is a big contingency plan that you have? Their performance goes off. Let's say that they gather in the bomb shelter and perform the King in Yellow for whatever reason they wish. Maybe to call the Phantom of Truth to Earth, to bring the King, or to get an audience with the King, to go to Carcosa, whatever they want from this. It happens and no one is there to stop it. Then it happens. They get what they want. Or if folks like you follow in the footsteps of Franklin and Henderson and Carey or such, all those that tried to stop it beforehand in 1905, you're recreating those events, reinforcing that connection with the past. Graves rips that moment from the past and brings a recreation of when that play almost successfully worked to the present. Armed with the knowledge of what went wrong last time, he can then stop it from going wrong. And so by your attempts to try and stop him, it just makes it happen. So either you don't let it happen and the play goes ahead, you don't stop it, the play goes ahead, or you try and stop it, the original play goes ahead. It's almost like he's built a win-win situation for himself.
So, this is very difficult in dealing with this kind of a temporal idea, but what if we most purposefully do exactly something that we wouldn't do?
Is there a loophole that we can try and find?
Well, that's
I think
just
that's
it.
the only way forward.
If it makes sense to go left, and we would have probably always gone left,
I
then
doubt
we go
that.
right.
I don't know. We have to really think about this because I doubt that like doing something out of left field, like helping the cultists, would still help the cultists in the end.
I have a really terrible idea. We could do the performance of the play.
But we can do it wrong.
We could do it wrong like a day before.
I don't know. This is really risky. What if we do the play but we do it wrong?
Or we do the play and then,
because the play still happens, it'll just be wrong.
And he would have known then that we would have done it wrong, and he would have counteracted that.
But if
he's counting on the 1905 events, not counting on our events, but on the previous iteration. He doesn't know what we're going to do.
If we can learn what happened back then and simply do it a different way.
Well, we definitely don't want to employ explosives then, because that's what the last team attempted. No gas main or imitation gas main. It is a pity that we can't have given him an adulterated copy of the text. And in fact, I wonder, rather than destroying the King in Yellow at the library, if we don't want to replace it with an altered version that has no
It's already been put into N's hands.
Right. Well, we could consider returning an adulterated copy. But yes, if they hadn't memorized it, we could give them scripts that didn't actually contain whatever it is that so affected you when you read it, but that's too late.
Well, you said that when they summoned the region into the household, they were no longer able to access the actual location, right? I don't know, maybe if
The rehearsals that they performed in the study, because they'd been done so often again and again and again and again, it made a natural gateway to Carcosa. But the gateway only opens when Aldebaran is above the horizon. So between the hours of noon and 3 a.m., that doorway becomes a gateway to the palace. But because you went there after 3 a.m. and before noon, it just becomes the regular study that it is in the normal material plane.
We couldn't have pulled that book out because when we opened that door, there were entities there. Hopefully, blasting that house will have weakened the thread to that court, but who knows how much rehearsal they've been doing in the hotel.
that's an idea. Didn't N say that the circle could be used as a trap?
Yeah, you could effectively leave it in a corridor if you were to put it in a position where people could inadvertently wander down it, and then by stepping on it or becoming into contact with it, it would then drain a load of their power and potentially even kill them if they got really unlucky.
Yes, we're not making it out of the circles. I'm sorry, fishmonger, but I don't think we really want to continue to summon creatures like the flautist that I saw.
What
It's
if
the
we
mercury in the
flooded?
fish is poisoning my brain.
What if we flooded the venue instead of burning it?
Well, Melvin and George having been down there, you saw I described those pipes above. Some of those are water pipes. You could try and flood it. That would be completely within reason.
And it's not as though we'd be putting anyone's life in danger because it's just a fancy suite for 16 unduly cosseted people.
A little water damage wouldn't hurt.
The Piccadilly could afford, I'm sure I'm sure Lloyd's would cover it comfortably.
You might be onto something, Davidge.
Yes.
That's
And
quite
if we look at the public plans of the hotel and we speak to our ends demolition friend, there's probably a place we could put a small charge at a corner of the structure that would open up some plumbing. Hardly an emergency that the city would rush toward during the circumstances. I rather like it. Nothing less like fire than water.
How
You
would
could
we
also do it before they're down there.
Oh yeah,
yes.
well, having this damage, it's going to take days for them to fix.
Yeah. No, but we don't want to give them warning, so we wait until Wednesday at 2 p.m., say? Or Wednesday just before noon.
Yeah, a little early would be better, just so we can deal with any nasty surprises that come up.
We can assume that they are already building a link to the court in the hotel, even though they're not planning for the full-on assault until the time is right. But yeah, so we can dampen their squib just before the main event.
Should we have a couple of contingencies also, in case they already know that's what we're going to try?
You can just shoot them all.
I think that is one of the contingencies.
And I think another contingency was just like big bomb.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did last time.
Yeah, that's what they want.
No, small bomb, big pipe, I think is a fine notion.
Great.
And yes, a backup, which might simply mean when they flee, as in rats in a sinking ship, we're available with some events people to separate them from the herd, let's say. Take them someplace where they can't perform together. Doesn't even matter very much if we get some innocent people involved in that regard, as long as, we're not injuring any innocents, but we keep the cast from performing together.
we have to ensure that the ringleader is eliminated. Like I
We
really
do
want to
need to
give
get
him,
Graves.
yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love to give him a kinetic ticket to the afterlife.
The bullet train, if you will.
Yeah.
Well,
All
if
right
one of
then.
us is in the audience, we could just stand up, shoot him in the face if
Well,
he's
there's not going to
there.
be an audience if we flooded the venue.
Yeah. Okay, so if we are going to flood the venue, we have to find the place that they're going to flee to. So like that involves finding their hideout. I just
It's only, oh yeah.
You can also give me an idea roll because you've mentioned something that is potentially important, but also quite dangerous if you remember certain facts.
Of course, I'd love to give you an idea roll. And with a 95, I got nothing.
You have no idea.
Other people are.
I have a regular, but I can make it a hard with 2 points.
I'd say probably a hard is probably better. So
I'll,
yeah, if you want
I'll
the 2
spend
points,
two. Yeah.
because you've meant the idea was floated there about hiding in the audience. And Melvin's mind maybe goes back to, well, what happened to the last audience that watched this? And the various newspaper articles that you had, and also from Franklin's testimony, was that the folks that were watching that play were enraptured to the point where they sat watching this thing even when they burnt to death around them. Hiding in the audience might be a bit more of a dangerous prospect than you're thinking it might be able to pull that kind of thing off.
But I have already read the play, so I might not be enraptured in the same manner.
You might not be, blink, blink, but keep in mind, reading Othello is not the same as seeing a good production. There
Yeah, I
could be
wouldn't gamble with that.
Did you read
Yeah.
it aloud, for example? I mean, there could be an incantatory component. At any rate,
No, however, it wasn't until the second act that the madness hit.
so you plan to shoot him just before the scene change from the
I shoot him
audience.
the second that I see him on the stage. I don't care
if-
about the fucking
if-
play.
Well, how
If-
do you know what
if-
role he's playing or what he looks like,
If
right?
they're counting on we must know what Graves looks like roughly.
Yeah, he's a well-known figure enough that
Yeah.
he is known in obviously circles, being that he's a published writer. You would be
We'll
able
make
to
a
get a
file.
description
We'll
of
we'll
him.
get a picture.
Yeah,
I mean, almost certainly he's going to be playing the masked stranger, right? Or the king in yellow himself.
I mean, maybe the masked stranger plays himself.
he might enjoy being a stagehand because he can direct better from that position. Who can say? The point is that there's a photogravure of him in the newspaper archives, and we can make sure that we recognize him. Hopefully, the venue is important, and if we eliminate the venue and we can scatter them like rats, then there won't be a performance to interrupt. If you do need to be in the audience, then yes, act before the second act. I mean, conversely, we can just run around saying Macbeth, 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 Macbeth. I can't say it 3 times. We can keep saying it, the name of the Scottish play, until the whole thing is cursed and they all break their legs.
Do we think that Graves is in the hotel now?
I suspect that they have a couple of fairly invisible parties ensconced there already, the ones who are working away at the lock, while the principals are in deep hiding somewhere. Oh, we never did try to figure out where that blushing bride is currently, did we? Let's see if today we can locate Long and Jacobs.
Do you think that might be a sham? Just a way for the cult to get in?
I don't think that's the wedding, but I think they both live someplace.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll
remember you
find
had
that
this-
they're actually dead already.
I remember you had this conversation with Shelley on the phone the previous day, and that she confirmed, because this is when Davidge called up to make the reservations at the hotel, because she was very apologetic you couldn't have the top floor because the whole top floor had been booked out for the wedding party. And that's there, as far as you're aware, they're all still upstairs.
Oh, they're booked ahead of time. So you're right.
Yes.
We don't know where they are.
Maybe they are just all in the hotel. If the cult is using the wedding as a cover, maybe they're just all living upstairs, lavish.
Yes, and as I said, it gives them an opportunity to be rehearsing and building that, doing what they did in Graves's house,
Would it be
making.
possible to just storm the hotel now if we're sure? Well, we're not sure.
We're not
We
really
could-
enough to storm, but
Yeah.
It's worth checking.
Surely they have to come out of their rooms at some point. If they come out of their rooms, we just pop them in the head.
Room service.
Room
All our room
service.
service.
Mhm.
You mean, did we destroy those? Did you destroy the hotel uniforms or leave them dusty in that closet? I know we discussed destroying them, but I don't think we did because we realized that they weren't planning to use them.
I don't recall you having burnt them or got rid of them in any way.
Yeah, I'm
All
pretty
right.
sure we have them available to us.
So, Oswald, Jean-Pierre, do you want to get dressed up as staff and try to deliver some flambe to the?
Just put
we'll see what
well rod in
happens.
one of those cases.
Oh, you mean the silver tray and there's just like a machine gun under?
Or you put a bomb in the bomb?
Oh, yes.
You know?
This might be
degrees.
dangerous. So
So that's an action of last resort?
we'll think about it. I need some time to think and to plan.
This is why, after all, you are members of Network N. This is your job to do the dangerous stuff. I think on that note, that is probably a good point to leave it for tonight.
Okay. Excellent. Our players included Max Meltzer, Josh Harwood, Alex Sun, David Gasway, and myself, with Matthew Sanderson as the keeper of Arcane Lore. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members. You can set up private games. You can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page listed in the description, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.